This is the Friday, November 15th, 2013 version of the Market Plus segment. Joining us now is Jamey Kohake. Jamey, welcome back.
Thank you, Mike.
We've got a lot of great questions from our followers on Facebook and Twitter. And let's start with beans. As we were talking earlier, beans have some pretty good fundamentals supporting the market. We got a lot of folks who are concerned. Ernest in Dunbar, Nebraska is asking, sell beans now or hold out till we see what Brazil has in store?
I've been on record at least once on here, I know, of saying sell beans, and I'm still sticking with that recommendation. The market has been inverted, and to me that signals, the market wants your crop right now, don't store it. So I've been advising to sell beans. Now, if we would get into a dire weather situation in South America, exports continue to ramp up from China, re-ownership is always an option, and I'm not against that of buying some calls or buying the board. But I'm still in the sell mode here with beans. There are no weather situations going on right now worldwide, especially in South America, for the beans that I think we're going to go to 14 or 15 or anything like that right now. Weather could change next week, but right now South America is sitting very well, and I still like selling rallies here in the nearbys. And like I said on the show, 1190 for new crop, I think is a great place to get started to hold into spring.
Especially if we do see the yields increase, if we see some corn-on-corn producers switch to beans.
Yeah, I think the fringe acres will go to beans, maybe not, regular rotations. Let's see with that on corn, but the fringe acres, I think, will be beans for sure.
All right, now to follow that up, a friend of the show, Robert in Columbus Junction, is asking, how long do I hold on to 2013 crop, if you got any left, and when do I start selling 14, beans and corn?
I think we should be starting or have started on the new crop. 14 corn and beans, 490, 1190 are the numbers I'd like. Corn may be a little too, risk to top side. Maybe let's go to 480, 475. But I think we should be started on both of those contracts.
Keep an eye on those numbers as we get into rallies and
and
make
still
some sales.
Sell the old crop. The corn has had some carry work out of it. We've seen roughly 2 cents come out of the spreads at times. So there is some demand needed in corn. Ethanol basis levels are very good yet right now. So I would take advantage of starting to price some of this, JFM, Jan, Feb, March on rallies up around 455 for the March contract.
All right. Now, Austin has, it's a long question, but it's an important question that I know a lot of people are talking about every time we get a USDA report. And he says, with corn exports appearing to be picking up, is a 200 million bushel increase a reasonable number for an export demand increase in the January report? And if so, could we see that number offset on the supply side under the bigger crops get bigger mantra?
I say yes and yes. These USDA reports are getting harder and harder to figure out and obviously to trade off of. It seems like the USDA might have a number that they want to get to as the final tally, and the left side of the ledger and right side had to be offset, and they just juggle the numbers back and forth. And one example from that would be the acreage number from last week. They finally adjusted the acres in November, for crying out loud. I mean, where were we in August? I mean, just get in the car and drive up to Highway 3 and take a tour. So I would agree, yes, the higher exports to be offset probably by feed somewhere.
Okay. Now, as we look into 2014, past the January report and on into the year, as this the reduction in the ethanol mandate, the RFS, as that drops, how's that going to impact our carryouts for 2014?
Yeah, we could obviously beat that 2 billion mark and stuck here around 4 to 440 corn for quite a while until we run into weather scare sometime next summer. Like I said during the show, I think the timing on this was terrible. Why didn't we do it 2 years ago, a year ago? And also, I mean, if they're worried about the prices got too high, if that was one of the reasons or not, I'm not sure. But if you go back to where George Bush signed this mandate into law and where we are now, the price of corn is within a dime of where George Bush signed the bill at. So, yeah, we got too high maybe, a year or two ago, but from where George Bush sat in the Oval Office, signed that bill, we're pretty much the same price in corn.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Now, Phil in Ontario is asking, is the USDA overstating feed demand?
I think probably so. I mean, smaller hog herd, cattle numbers too tight. So I think that number will be adjusted not just once, I think several times.
Okay. Now, speaking of feed demand, we've got a question from Wayne in Williams, Iowa. He says, what is the top in June cattle? Where can we go?
I think you go, 139 area, that area. But I would not be sitting back to get a hedge on up there. I would be looking at your margins and, and locking something in and then maybe buying some calls after you lock your margin in. But I think it's going to be tough for these summer contracts to push up in there. I think it'll be just a short, quick pop. And but I'd be more concerned locking your margin in than reowning.
You think it'll be a short, quick pop, even as we head into demand season with smaller cow herd and all the other issues
I think
facing cattle?
that be factored in probably a lot by then.
Okay.
Look at the seasonals. We run into some weakness from late spring to early fall.
All right, Jamie. Before we let you go, is there a trade of the week out there that looks especially good to you?
I like the hogs, 88 December mark, adding shorts on. I don't like selling down here, but get a pop, I'd sell back into the nearbys.
All right. Thanks for being with us tonight, Jamie. And thanks to all of you for watching, and thanks for sending in your questions via Facebook and Twitter. Please continue to do so, and we'll continue to get expert analysis and answers for you. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.